bad. It's really, really bad. I feel like the next year is shaping up to be a real dumpster fire for us doll collectors. If doll manufacturing were a limbo contest, Barbie would be the winner. If you thought that Barbie reached a new low in terms of quality, Miss Barbara Millicent Roberts just dives right under that. We're going through the same cycle over and over again. All of the Barbie fans get hyped up for a new release. We see beautiful promo pictures, we see beautiful prototypes. We get really excited and think that Barbie finally is turning around. This is Barbie's comeback. Barbie is putting all that money that she made in the past year thanks to the movie release to good use. And then the dolls get released. We see inbox pictures, we see them out of the box. We see unboxings, we see reviews.
What the fuck?
And it's always the same. The product that gets released ends up not really living up to the standard that we envisioned the product to have. And I feel like Barbie right now is at a point of no return where the quality is so degradingly low that even cheap knockoff clone fashion dolls that are released exclusively to second or third world nations at a very low price are not only able to match Barbie in terms of the quality, they're even able to surpass her, which is just shocking really. I think over a year ago I had made a video about a release by the Latin American exclusive doll line Brittany collection. Brittany collection ended up releasing a line of dolls that were very similar to Barbie Extra dolls, but they just had something about them that I really thought was intriguing. Now in that video I also was able to explain to you how it's possible that a cheap knockoff clone doll line that is exclusively marketed towards poorer, lower income households was able to match or even have a higher quality than Barbie dolls. And I was right to point out that it is down to the fact that those dolls are going to be similar to products released by other brands such as Defa. The business model of Brittany collection is unique in the way that these dolls aren't created by the brand, but are already ready-made and bought wholesale with the name just slapped onto the packaging later on in the process. Which is why Brittany collection products can be found in tons of other places around the world with a different name, such as Defa. Now sorry for sounding like I was just whispering throughout all of that clip. That was because I actually had COVID during the making of that video, and I remember somebody commenting on why I'm whispering. It was because my voice was tattered, it was just torn to shreds, so that's why I added subtitles to that little clip that I just showed you. But I digress. Defa has now not only released those Barbie Extra clones that Brittany collection had released last year, Defa also released a line of fashion girl dolls that are styled similarly to look kind of like Barbie Fashionistas. And in my eyes, these Defa fashion girls are actually head and shoulders above any of the Fashionistas that were released this year. By this year, I mean the most recent wave. As I had shown you in the intro, every single one of those Fashionistas sadly suffers from heavy pixelation. There are so many elements about modern day Barbie releases that just take me out of the fantasy, that just make me kind of dislike them. The bodies are very unsightly as they are very stiff looking and seem to have been stuck in these robotic poses. It's very unnatural looking. The faces are giving 8-bit video games with the heavy pixelation. And all of these elements combined just take me out of the fantasy. Because if you just take a look at the fashion girls released by Defa, they're not a whole lot different to Fashionistas in terms of the way they look when it comes to the fabrics used or the patterns, but they're just little design decisions made that make them look prettier than a Fashionista. They do not have those stiff, robotic, very unsightly looking poses. They're very gracefully posed. They have body molds where the arms and hands are shaped in a way that's just pretty looking. The faces are also not over exaggerated in terms of having a smile that's very off-putting. They're very demure, they're very soft, they're very feminine and very pouty. The silhouette from head to toe just makes sense. The hair, even though it's probably very low quality polypropylene as well, is actually styled. They gave them half up, half downs, side bangs. When it comes to the ponytails, they took a strand of hair and wrapped it around the ponytail to hide the elastic band, something that Mattel isn't even able to do on their more expensive playline releases like Barbie Extra Fancy. They crimped the hair length is good, the hair volume is good. So the silhouette in terms of from top to bottom, from how the dresses are fitted to the body, from the choices in terms of the shoes that the doll is wearing. Take these elements and put them on the doll, and these elements end up making these fashion girls released by Defa so much cuter than your regular fashionista. They end up being sold exclusively in Eastern European countries, I believe, because Defa is, I think, a Russian brand, I'm not sure. And they're being sold there at a fraction of the cost that a Barbie doll would end up getting sold as. And it's just hilarious how we've now reached a point in the world in terms of economy where China, as the second largest economy of the world, isn't really bothered with giving the West their best products. The West is now so dependent upon China that China is now able to call the shots, and the West is just catching up with late-stage capitalism we're in, whereby the Barbie products that are being released and being manufactured and being produced are made in such a degradingly low quality way just to satisfy the greed of the people who are CEOs, shareholders, to keep up margins, to even be able to have revenue become higher and higher. And I think we're not going to be able to really recover from that. At the end of the day, having new inventions, new techniques means a high cost at the beginning because Mattel ends up having to buy certain machines for this manufacturing process. So they want to have a long-term success in terms of keeping costs low. So short-term investment ends up meaning long-term cost lowering. I think that Barbie moving forward will probably end up exclusively using the pixel screening method. Another example is the Rebelde dolls that are coming up. There's a 5-pack coming out, and ENDGAME posted on one of the stories one of those dolls, and I'm not going to be shading ENDGAME at all. I think he's one of the most talented designers who are currently employed at Mattel, but I was able, or we all are able, to see the clothing quality on this doll, and this is a 5-pack retailing for $100. So this is a $20 doll you're just looking at. And just look at the manufacturing of the jacket, and it's just abysmal. The fabric quality looks trash. The way the garment is made just looks like garbage. I think the most hilarious bit is that little tiny paper thin rectangular bit of fabric that was sewed or glued onto the cuffs, where I'm like, just print it. If you want to make it more luxe looking and you end up doing something like that, just print it, because this looks horrible. Then there was a listing I saw on a classified around the place that I live of one of the Ted Lasso dolls, and just looking at the screening of this doll is hilarious, because where's the quality control? This is a signature release, this is a collector doll. Where is the quality control? I think it's hilarious how this cross-eyed doll was able to just go through the process of quality control, because there's manual labor involved. The styling of the doll hair, the dressing of the doll, the putting the doll into the box, there's manual labor involved. So it went through a ton of hands who ended up looking at the face and were like, it's okay, just put it in the box, just sell it, just ship it out. The consumer will buy any old trash. And that's the attitude that Mattel is currently having when it comes to their Barbie products. They're like, the consumer is going to buy any old trash. They don't give a f***. It's Barbie on it, Barbie is selling. And I'm also annoyed with so many doll content creators who are like, no negativity, Please, just positive vibes only. And that to me is just a very lobotomized, very brain dead attitude. It just means that you have no backbone and you're not able to criticize something because you are scared that you're going to be ending up on a blacklist. But you're the person who are the fan of this brand. You're the person who ends up putting money into their pocket, not the other way around. So it does not make sense to me why you're being like, no negativity, just positive vibes, and any old trash that gets released and Barbie gets slapped onto it, you're like, this is just a great release. This is just a magnificent release. And going back to the pixel face method that's currently used on dolls, one of the releases that I was looking forward to and that I had featured in my recent news video was that Barbie Dreamtopia Unicorn Girl doll, who uses the Grace face sculpt, and no pun intended, is to me a disgrace to be using that method on legacy face sculpts like that one. I think this is the very first release of her of the face with that method applied to it, because every other Grace doll that had been released prior to that one had always an immaculate screening applied to, so I'm just very disappointed to see that that release ended up being as bad as it is. I know I sound very negative at the moment, and I hope that I do not come across as being overly mean or bitchy. I just wanted to keep it real. I just wanted to say how it is, because this is the situation we're at, and I feel like we're at a place where it's only going to go downhill and downhill and downhill. And I have a love for Barbie as a brand. I have a passion for Barbie as a brand. Barbie currently isn't being seen as a doll brand by Mattel. I think Barbie is just being turned into this lifestyle brand. They want to sell product with her stepped onto it, and the dolls are an afterthought. And even the collector side of things with signature releases are being treated as an afterthought. And moving forward, I do not really want that. I think that's just a horrible way to see things. I think you have to perceive things that you have a passion for in a way that's maybe tough love, but it comes out of a place of love. Love for the brand and love for the legacy of the brand, as well as the history of the brand. Love for what could be and critiquing what sadly is right now. Yeah, I would be very interested to see how you think the situation is going. I had posted a poll on my community tab asking all of you what you think is probably the worst attribute on a doll, choosing out a list of a bunch of things that we all collectively do not really like low quality hair or molded on tops or pixelated faces. And most of you agreed that pixelated faces is among one of the worst things that could be put onto a doll, especially on Barbies, because I think that this method could work on if you have a bigger canvas to stamp the screening onto, but on Barbie scale it ends up just looking absolutely horrible. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you thought I was a petty bitch, leave a dislike. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I might be seeing you in my next one. Bye for now.